A dragon devours an entire sect, annihilating everything in the blink of an eye. The culprit? Just a quiet boy. The world sees him as trash, a mere humiliated porter. But they do not know where he came from, trapped for 10 years in a pit of blood, forced to slaughter his 99 friends, surviving only for pure revenge. But when he got out, the target was already dead, alone, without memory, and ignored. Yet the world created an anomaly, the awakening of an absurd power, with lightning scorching the skies, and an aura that crushes your mind. He is not a hero, but the apocalypse itself. Out of nowhere, a treasure map appears, pointing to the techniques of Cheonkija, the greatest genius at Mount Yongsan. And that wasn't all, it also hid his secret weapon. With that, the peaceful martial world was about to turn into total chaos. Then, the view focuses on a high stone peak in the middle of the jungle, looking like a giant pillar isolated in the sky, being the exact place where the piece is about to end. Suddenly, a dust explosion breaks the silence at the foot of the hill. The smoke rises, revealing the mouth of a dark cave, and soon a silhouette emerges from the darkness, revealing the gleam of a blade in the middle of the dust. It's our MC letting out a breath after finally escaping, staring at the horizon with a firm look, like he was born again. Looking up, remembering that the sky used to be blue, not knowing if it's the cave's effect, since he doesn't remember anything from before. But still, he decides to get every single memory back, needing to remember everything to get his revenge. Then, the first memory hits from when he was 10, with old man Cheonkija, with the master saying they'd have to save the world in a decade. There were 100 kids, with the boy lost right in the middle, still feeling the old man's freezing glare demanding obedience, warning them about the heavy training and telling everyone to go to sleep. Back then, the kid didn't even feel scared, an orphan thing. Then, the master drops a message for anyone thinking of running away, saying he sealed the entrance with a massive stone wall, starting a living hell disguised as training, controlling even their sleep. The first lesson was breathing the three powers technique to absorb energy. Then came the sword and the footwork, everything in the same routine, learning to move like him, until he gathered the class 3 years later, explaining that this level would reach the tier of a war god, and warning that everyone would have to become masters in 7 years, needing to cross a door to train and stop the end of the world. And, according to the old man, the training would be on them, crossing the portal one by one. Now in the present, the kid's eyes shine with the memory, understanding why they survived that cursed place, remembering the master's creepy smile, realizing that all of that was Chankichi's fault. In the cave, the energy mist fried their bodies and bent reality, with space cracking and leaving everyone in shock, not understanding a thing. Then, red-eyed monsters pop up amidst the screaming. They were bizarre skeletal beasts attacking with everything they had, and soon a giant bone snake attacks, spreading absolute despair, blowing the gates of hell wide open for them. In the middle of the chaos, someone yells to draw their swords, with our MC, still little, getting ready for combat, making every day a nightmare that pushed everyone to the limit, fighting with what they had and using everything they learned, in a bloodbath to see who would make it out alive against the beasts. But Chankichi's arts worked best in that absolute carnage, leaving only the main guy, alone and surrounded by corpses, remembering the last request of a dying friend: survive. With that, remembering his own name, Dan Hyungwoo, cutting to a busy city, full of people and ancient roofs, highlighting the Choyon Pavilion with a huge crowd at the door. Inside, it's got a tavern vibe with that classic loud chatter. Watching everything from the corner, the kid analyzes the movement, locking eyes on Jo Seol-yeon, daughter of the Jo family boss, and she feels the weight of his stare, realizing she's being watched. At the table, a guy points at the boy, noticing the unsheathed sword, focusing on his waist, with the blade completely exposed. Jo-in, the girl's brother, looks closely and admits the weapon is unique. Right then, a bowl of noodles hits the table and the waiter says, "Enjoy," staring at the bowl, cause it had been forever since he saw hot food. Grabbing the chopsticks, he takes the very first bite, getting instantly shocked with the flavor melting in his mouth, looking so satisfied that 2 customers next to him order the exact same thing. Meanwhile, Seol-yeon can't take her eyes off the MC, totally curious, wondering why she felt so interested in a total stranger. Cleaning his plate, the guy praises it and the owner asks if he liked it, but the old man gives him a weird look, making the mood pretty heavy, charging 5 pon right off the bat, leaving the boy confused. Then it hits him, finally remembering that money actually exists, thinking to himself that he had forgotten about that little detail, giving an awkward smile when he notices his total lack of cash. Changing his tone instantly, the owner warns that if he ate, he has to pay. With the greatest calm in the world, the kid drops that he doesn't have a dime, Annoyed by his audacity, the old man demands the sword on his waist as payment, frowning right away and warning that he won't give up the weapon for anything, explaining he traded that blade for the life of his last friend, freaking out and starting to yell, accusing the kid of being a freeloader, drawing the crowd, who quickly gets up to surround the table and apply pressure. In the middle of the mess, the girl steps in front of everyone. Holding out a little coin pouch, she asks everyone to take it easy. With a sweet smile, the young lady says she'll cover the bill, leaving the owner dumbfounded seeing Miss Joe paying for a beggar, staring at the girl in tense silence with the owner's jaw dropped in the back, trying to put together a thank you but the words just won't come out, noticing that his gaze is pure, like a child discovering the world. Freezing in place, the MC tries to process what just happened, looking away right after, still kinda lost in the situation, and the girl gets tangled up too, forgetting what she was gonna say. Out of nowhere he gets up and leaves, leaving everyone hanging, staying behind, stuttering while watching him disappear into the crowd. Grumbling in disbelief, the owner says the guy is incredibly rude. Soon Jo-in walks up to his sister, calling the guy a penniless ingrate, adding that the kid didn't have a single drop of internal energy. But Seo-yeon disagrees, insisting that sword wasn't normal at all, having a sudden realization, but she had uncovered a huge secret, warning that the sword is a masterpiece, but walking with it exposed is asking for trouble. Deciding to go after him cause the guy needs a scabbard for the weapon. Outside, Hyung-woo remembers they paid for his lunch, lowering his head, feeling the weight of not thanking the girl. Meanwhile, at the Chuyen Pavilion, the crowd only gets bigger, with the hall packed with people and the gossip running wild. Then a guy mentions that the Maram Alliance is scary stuff, noticing the city turned into an anthill of Alliance warriors. Jo-in agrees, saying it's serious since the leader himself showed up, explaining that the villains and bandits are marching straight to Mount Hyeongsan, adding that, besides the danger, the crowd follows the leader for his fame. Soon the topic turns to Chang Ki-ja, the greatest martial arts genius, saying the old man was built different and could even read the sky's energy. But at the end of his life, he decided to go out with a bang, creating the lightning shadow blade and leaving the world jaw-dropped, passing all that knowledge down to some random drifter, and in 3 years, turned a nobody into a martial monster, becoming everyone's target and dying a bad death, adding to the mystery of Chang Ki-ja, who vanished. Summing up that since the Jo family found the treasure map, everybody wants a piece. So-yeon says the family's protection helps, but they gotta be 3 times as careful, thinking that in this world the unexpected happens when you least expect it. Right then, Jo-in kills the mood and asks if she's going after that drifter, insisting the MC is a jerk and she's just throwing kindness away. Hesitating, the girl drops a butt and is clearly torn. Sai Ma-chul agrees it's dangerous to split up with the alliance leader arriving. Looking down, she deflates, with no way to argue back. With no way out, she agrees to stay while the kid keeps walking. On the way, hearing a guy haggling for a 5 Yanyang discount, stopping to see the crowd around a flute player, with kids having a blast. Watching the scene and thinking about the peace of the place. Right after seeing a mom buy something for her son at a stall, with the little boy smiling and getting a pat on the head. Looking at the sky with sadness, like a movie playing in his head. Remembering Aksaeji saying they needed to bust out of that hole to live, with his friend asking for a promise and him asking what it was. Asking Hyung-woo to visit his dad if they made it out alive, getting jokingly cursed at. Replying that his friend should do it himself in person. Laughing, the redhead agrees and says he'd go himself, but soon changing his look and begging the MC not to die, saying they just had to survive today, with both charging into the attack. Suddenly, there's a loud crack and his friend screams for Hyung-woo, yelling in total panic for him to watch out. Then, a tear rolls down his face remembering the scene, with the memory showing his buddy taking a fatal hit to save him. Desperate and falling to his knees, asking why he threw himself in front of it. Crying and begging his friend to get up and keep his promise. Using his last bit of strength, his friend says the MC was the best and tells him to live, and to ask his dad for forgiveness, fading the memory while the boy reflects. Looking at the moon and understanding his freedom costs 99 lives. With fire in his eyes, the kid claims he owes it to every single one of them, turning his back to the moon, swearing Chang Ki-ja will pay every cent of that debt. And, turning around, he starts walking again. Distracted, he notices he walked in circles and stopped in the same spot. Suddenly he freezes and looks to the side completely surprised, seeing Seo-yeon and realizing he still hasn't said thanks for the food. Changing the scene, a guy plans to surround Mount Hyeongsan and tells them to spread the word, focusing on a bunch of warriors looking like bad news. With the leader giving the order, no breaks until they get there, full speed ahead, and a yes echoes with the group disappearing in the dust, flying down the road. Under the moonlight, the kid watches the guys moving out. Noticing that the girl girl and her crew are heading out too, watching her walk away and thinking she's heading there as well. Curious about their destination, he doesn't even think and jumps off the roof instantly. Under the stars, the kid decides to tail the squad from a distance. Deep in the woods, one of the leaders says they'll take a breather at the mountain entrance. Hiding in the shadows, the kid keeps watch and finds it weird, wondering if they're heading straight to hell. Realizing there are more people on their tail, curious about what they're looking for there. Meanwhile, two guys from the Alliance worry about their rivals changing routes, but Juga Zhongqian tries to calm the boss, saying it's totally under control. Except Dako-un, the big shot of the Alliance, feels like his gut is failing him. Nearby, the girl lets out a heavy sigh, cause the exhaustion hit really hard. Right then, Peng Chou-young walks up with hidden motives, offering to ask for a break, but she shuts him down instantly, telling him to forget it and saying she can handle herself. Out of nowhere, some bandits pop out of the dark saying they finally found them. With a scary grin, the gang leader celebrates running into the Alliance. It's Sail Hyo Gui, boss of the evil fortress, taunting them for hiding. Not looking to chat, Dako-un draws his sword and orders everyone to formation for combat, with the strategist warning that the evil faction teamed up with the bandits, reinforcing that fighting the villain isn't for just anybody. And with a war cry, the bandit charges in to see the blood flow. His attack hits like a truck, busting their defense with a single punch, becoming a blur in the middle of the Alliance and spreading total panic. And with a clean kick, sending another warrior flying. The impact is so brutal the guy drops down spitting blood, absolutely wrecked. With the brawl going wild and the Alliance crew dropping one by one. Just watching, the MC decides he's seen enough and takes a step forward. Right then the bandit laughs at the mess and says he already cleared out the small fry. Now focusing on the main prize, Doko-un, the leader, letting out a roar and flying straight at the Alliance boss. All hell breaks loose and the sound of clashing blades echoes through the dark forest. Sparks fly everywhere, cause both of them are total heavyweights. With the rest of the bandits storming the area, chaos fully takes over. Dako-1 starts sweating bullets, surrounded and outnumbered, and the villain mocks them, saying Cheonkija's weapon already has an owner. Hearing Chikija, the MC's look changes instantly and the hatred rises, stabbing his sword into the ground and releasing insane pressure, cracking the entire stone floor with the kid's sheer strength, using the rock pieces like a spring and launching himself right into the crossfire, crossing the sky with a purple aura, leaving everyone's jaws on the floor, and in the blink of an eye, hitting the bandit dead on and crashing his party, landing right in the center of the chaos, among dead bodies and broken rocks. With a single spin, unleashing an energy wave that wipes the area clean. And the shocked faces of the Alliance warriors say it all, leaving Dako-un, the big boss, totally stunned by the kid's arrival. Meanwhile, So-yeon looks up, not believing her own eyes, with the rest of the family in the Alliance freezing up completely clueless. In the middle of that clearing, the MC turns and drops, "Where is Cheonkija?" making the leader panic, cause he didn't even feel the kid get close. Soon the strategist thanks him for the help, but starts explaining that the master already kicked the bucket 10 years ago, making the MC freeze at the news, short-circuiting, trying to process the info that the old man was dead, and his hatred flares up cause he can't collect his debt, leaking a purple aura, staring into space, chewing on the word dead that just won't swallow, triggering a blue energy explosion all around him, pushing everyone back, making the Alliance crew groan in pain from the suffocating weight in the air. Without meaning to, the void energy starts crushing everybody's minds, bringing a sense of loss so real that the warriors just paralyze. Right then, the kid grieves going through hell just for his revenge target to vanish, remembering his friends dying and begging to talk to their families, with the movie playing in his head, seeing his comrades demanding justice. But the strategist quickly realizes that it was void energy, and the leader spots the danger, knowing the Alliance could die from chi deviation. In the middle of the whirlwind, the girl walks up softly, asking if he's okay, looking at her and remembering he only stopped there because of her kindness, bringing back the memory of his friend who gave him the sword, telling him to live and get out of the hole, concluding that if the old man's a goner and revenge is off, he needs a new plan, staring at the sky and deciding he needs to find the families of the fallen. Suddenly, the pressure vanishes, relieving the warriors from that helplessness, leaving the leader confused about how the energy stopped and who this kid was. With that, the MC just looks at So-yeon and drops a dry turning his face and just staring at the girl in total silence. Then she breaks the ice, asking if he was looking for someone, quickly defending the boy to her uncle, saying he saved their skins, hopefully asking him to travel with the group until he finds who he's looking for, making the agency director scratch his head head, really thinking about the offer, finding it hard to say no to the guy who saved them, but terrified of that void energy. With Dako-un also going into deep thought mode, keeping a straight face, assessing that the kid is dangerous, and wiped out the villains in a heartbeat, deciding it's better to have the kid as an ally than running loose out there. Finally, giving the ultimate verdict and accepting that he tags along with the crew. Right actor Sama Chiel goes to have a chat straight with the main guy, offering a gig and asking if he wants to work at the escort agency, and the crowd around talks about his luck since the agency is super strict with hiring. But the kid, totally chill, just replies with a "I don't really know," making Jo-in bite his lip in anger, asking if he even knew what he was stepping into, keeping it real, saying he has no clue what an escort agency even is, leaving the group shocked at his cluelessness, while the girl decides to explain, detailing that they move stuff and protect people, while her uncle rethinks the whole idea. Right then, an alliance guy grumbles, asking where this country bumpkin came from, but his partner focuses on the MC's sword, asking if they felt the same thing. Then, Peng Chaoyong counters that aura doesn't come from a rusty piece of junk, agreeing the partner says the treasure needs a real owner, not some hillbilly, planning to strike the second the leaders enter the mountain. Soon the sun comes up, starting another day of the hunt. Finally arriving at the destination, Mount Hyongsan. Looking up, Sama Cho feels a weird chill from the place. Standing right in the middle, the main guy just watches his surroundings quietly, quickly realizing this was the exact spot everyone was searching for. Dako-un is already drooling over Cheonkija's manual, but gets annoyed they can't find the entrance. Climbing the rocks, the group yells that there's no cave around there. Then, the strategist suggests bringing the mountain down, but the leader fears destroying the book. Hearing it all, the kid gives a little smirk, knowing the secret. Knowing his escape route is gone, he tries to sniff out the original entrance. Focusing on a spot where purple energy leaks from the rock, he finds the place. Quickly, he shoots like a lightning bolt toward the massive wall, using the warrior's shoulders as trampolines and flying up, leaving everyone confused, landing perfectly planted on a tiny rocky edge. Looking down, he warns them that the entrance is right there. Startled, Doko-un asks how he knows the way. With an ice cold look, the kid drops the truth. He used to live in that hole. Seolion stutters in surprise, while Peng concludes the guy is just wild. To the vice leader, the kid is a savage, justifying his clothes and exposed sword. Taking charge again, Doko-un walks in with the leaders and orders them to secure the area. Soon, a shout of confirmation echoes through the mountain. Thanking our MC, Juejongkian says their debt is only piling up. With a scowl, the kid warns them that there's absolutely nothing inside for them. Right then, a dark image of the cave pops into his mind, leaving behind only tragic memories of death, showing an abyss of blood and darkness, absolute hell. Noticing the kid acting restless, Dako-un tells him to stay out of it and leave it to them. Like that, the leader storms the place with his men while the MC just watches, thinking that, with the old man dead, whatever goes down in there isn't his problem. Suddenly, a snap in the bushes gives away someone's arrival. Walking up, Seolion asks if he really used to live there, just nodding his head, confirming it in total silence. In a flash, Peng Chio-young and his partner block the girl's path. Narrowing his eyes, the kid spots the duo's shady movement. Grabbing the girl, the sidekick accuses the boy of being a spy for the Green Forest. Jo-in blows up defending their savior, but the guy insists it was all just an act. Smirking cynically, the warrior offers to hold on to his sword to prove his innocence. Eyeing the blade greedily, he notices the insane glow up close, reflecting that despite looking old, the weapon's aura is straight out of this world. Gripping his sword hilt, the MC asks if he wants the weapon. Keeping his smirk, the man tells him to hand over the blade already, but the kid explains he got the sword from a friend who passed away. Staring the guy down, he warns he'll only give up the weapon when he's dead too. Walking up the slope, he stands high up, being watched from below. Then, Peng Cho-young lets out a little chuckle, totally loving the little show. Right next to him, Seol-zeon and Jo-in go mute, terrified of the whole situation. Then, Peng and his partner take the final steps surrounding the kid, watching the guys move with a terrifying calmness. Figuring out the two warriors' intentions in a single second, spotting the trap, one cuts off the back while the other attacks from the front, reading the double strike and already setting up a counterattack, ducking down fast, completely dodging the first rush, crouching low, making the strike slice the air way above his head, keeping his eyes locked on them, calculating every single inch of the fight. Right then, the two guys freeze up, spooked by the kid's speed, but the guy in red loses his cool and charges in with his sword, sliding down the slope like he's dancing and laughing while dodging. Yelling to hand over the weapon or catch a beating, the guy in blue attacks. Touching his sword hilt, now things are about to get real. With his eyes glowing purple and his patience completely gone, out of nowhere, Doko-un yells furiously, asking what kind of joke this is. Turning around in shock, the warrior stutters the boss's name, storming out of the cave pissed off, not finding a single speck of dust inside. Worrying that the job is done, the leader orders everyone to pull out. Answering with a firm yes, the troops start rushing down the hill. Walking past the MC, the guy grumbles that he got lucky today, while the alliance leader is absolutely fuming with frustration. Walking up, Samasho asks if they found anything, leaving the group in shock, hoping to hear about Cheonkija's weapon. Muttering again that the kid got lucky, the warrior walks away. Soon Seol-yan walks up to the main guy and asks if he's in one piece. Looking a bit confused, he says he doesn't know what she means by that, sighing in relief that he's still standing after that close call. Smiling, she realizes they never even properly met, and introduces herself as Jo Seol-yan. Returning the gesture, the kid introduces himself as Dan Hyung-woo. Repeating his name, she compliments it, thinking it sounds nice, letting him know right after that the trip back is about to start, officially ending the Marine Alliance's hunt for the genius's treasure. Then, the scene cuts to Wuhan, looking like a total anthill of people. Soon a guy mentions the Alliance found the secret weapon and his buddy cheers. Not knowing what weapon it is, the other guy replies that it's a top secret. Spreading like wildfire, the rumors reach the Marine Alliance headquarters. Inside a room, somebody slams their fist on the table, cursing, leaving Doko on absolutely livid cause nobody believes they came up empty-handed. At the meeting, an elder complains the rumors are totally out of control in Hubei, pointing at a box and the letter left by Cheonkija on the table. In a flashback, Doko-un and Sama-chil stare at the box inside the cave, finding the item sitting right on top of a text-filled scroll. Back at the council, a leader grabs the paper trying to decode the message, reading out loud, totally intrigued about the blood demon child, warning in the letter that this demon wants to watch the martial world burn, writing that back then he created 100 insane masters to stop the tragedy, explaining they need the yin-yang drum to control the 100 monsters, with Cheonkija stating with absolute confidence that the demon's plans will fail. Now back in the present, they open the box, revealing the yin-yang drum. It's a round and shiny object letting out some really weird smoke. Holding the creepy item, the leader thinks the 100 master story is total nonsense. Right then, a leader looks at him asking if the whole letter is a lie, explaining it's not quite that, but he feels someone is pulling the strings from the shadows. Agreeing, Sama-chol says the boss is completely right to be suspicious, pointing out the Green Forest seemed to just want to screw with the Alliance, not grab the treasure, adding they found 0 tracks, and the missing bodies prove someone scrubbed the scene clean. To top it off, the street rumors turned into a totally unstoppable snowball, angrily concluding that someone is turning the martial world against them on purpose. Spooked, an elder stutters, asking who would even do something like that. Then, Sama-chol drops the bomb. The main suspect is the Joe family boss, who brought the map. Even with someone defending Joe Ilion, the director warns about a possible mole in their ranks. Making a call on the spot, Dako orders someone to keep a close eye on the family, saying that even if they aren't the masterminds, they could be working for the traitors. Then focusing on something moving in a really bizarre way inside the yin-yang drum. Cutting over to the Joe family entrance, with the guard announcing the director's return. Arriving with the crew, Jo-in hears a veteran asking if the trip went smoothly. Right next to him, the MC checks out the mansion, thinking the girl's place is absolutely massive. Soon the guy who greeted them says he needs to speak with the boss right away, letting them know he's taking the kid straight to the escort agency first. Just standing there hanging, trying to process his new destination. Right then, Seol-yan walks up and apologizes for not getting him a scabbard, thinking to himself how these outsiders are totally obsessed with sword covers, explaining that no scabbard can handle the raw energy of his blade, making the sword glow purple, proving the thing is an absolute beast. Deflating sadly for having offered something that was completely useless. Feeling awkward, the kid lets out a slightly stiff apology, triggering a painful flashback of his red-headed friend dying and asking for forgiveness, wondering why that guy had also begged for his forgiveness back then. Giving a little half smile, he turns back to Seol-yan, asking her to never say she's sorry again cause he really can't stand hearing it. Finding the request weird, the girl just nods, taken by surprise. Right then, the veteran calls his name and tells the kid to follow him, turning his back and walking away, leaving the girl planted right there, leaving the girl super worried, thinking she totally messed up with him. Cutting the scene to the Hanam agency, with guys yelling not to drop the boxes, explaining that Porter is the title for the guys busting their humps there. Seeing the guys lifting heavy, the MC instantly figures out his new gig. Yelling for Zhang-chil, the director tells him to show the rookie the ropes. Sprawled on the floor, a massive brute gives a side-eye, asking if it's just another one. Getting up with a cynical smirk, Zhang-chil promises he'll take care of it, whispering to the MC that the guy is kinda a jerk, but just shrugging it off, telling the kid to learn the right way, feeling a bit awkward about the whole thing. Giving the boy a pat on the shoulder, he tells him to do his absolute best, seeming that not even the director's favorite is gonna escape the hazing. Walking up with a big grin for the show, the bully asks for the rookie's name. Cool as a cucumber, he just replies that he's Dan Hyung-woo. Freaking out on the spot, Jong-chil questions that dry-ass response, clapping back that the only thing short is his dwarf-like physique, making the guy explode with rage, freezing everyone right there, with the porters not believing what the rookie just said. Absolutely livid, the brute yells, asking if he wants to die on his first day, just staring back with eyes of ice, smelling a fight brewing in the air, staring the guy down coldly, wondering if he should just wipe the floor with the bully right there. And the kid's sheer audacity leaves the porters completely speechless. Right then, Jong-chul completely loses it and asks if he wants to be a corpse today. Watching in total silence, he smells the bloodlust rolling off the giant, with an icy glare, debating if it's even worth slicing the guy right now. Suddenly, Jong-chul spots the weapon and asks why a rookie is carrying a sword. Pointing a finger, he tells him to hand over the blade cause porters don't get luxuries. Totally chill, the MC warns him that he's absolutely not taking this weapon. Instantly, the kid's killing intent makes the bully sweat bullets, thinking he's a psycho. Scared straight to the core, the big guy stutters and just drops the subject completely, thinking to himself how everyone decided to obsess over his sword today. With that, the crowd bursts into laughter, saying the big boss, shaken down to the new kid. Red with total embarrassment, Jong-chil yells for everyone to go to sleep, and they obey quick, yelling right after that the shift is over and it's time to kill the lights. Once in the dark, the bully tells the kid to follow him to the dorms. On the way, he grinds his teeth in rage, thinking the kid is nothing without his weapon, clenching his fist and swearing to get payback for that humiliation. Arriving at the barracks, the snoring is loud with everyone completely knocked out. In the dead of night, Jong-chil quietly gets up from his bed, crawling across the floor, making absolutely sure not to make a single sound, searching the dark for the punk, completely sure he's fast asleep. Out of nowhere, he slams face first into something solid and goes flying backward. Flat on his back, he gets super confused, thinking there was a pole in the room. Looking up, he spots the MC's silhouette standing right in front of him. With full-blown panic kicking in, he stutters, asking if the kid doesn't sleep. But the kid just keeps his eyes shut, looking like he's dreaming of paradise. Right then, Jong-chil nearly has a heart attack realizing the kid is sleeping standing up. Spotting his chance, he slowly reaches out his hand to steal the sword. Just 1 millimeter before touching the weapon, the MC's eyes light up purple, making the bully's reflexes lock up instantly, completely paralyzing his own body. Lasting just a single second, but feeling like an absolute eternity of pure terror. Feeling exactly like a gazelle staring down a starving lion, filled with so much fear that he can only scream on the inside, swearing he could see his own death reflecting right in the kid's eyes. Scared half to death, he drops to the floor, crying and begging for his life, getting so totally terrified that his legs completely give out on him. In reality, the MC was just circulating his energy while taking a standing nap, obviously not having been born sleeping like that. It was the 10 years in the cave that trained him to stay alert 24/7, cause in there, dropping your guard meant a death wish even while eating, keeping the habit of sleeping on his feet, circulating energy to stay protected. Soon the sun comes up at the Hanam agency, kicking off another day of grinding. Letting out a sigh, the main guy finally wakes up from his little trance. Looking down, he spots the brute curled up and wonders if that's Jong-chil. Right then, the bully looks up and goes into total shock seeing him there, bolting out of there like a madman while the kid thinks he just got his name wrong. Quickly, someone wakes the crew up, yelling that there's work to do, and the yard is already fully packed, with mountains of boxes and carts waiting around. With just one hand, the MC tosses 2 giant boxes straight up into the air. Jumping up, he perfectly positions himself mid-air between the falling boxes. Delivering a clean kick, he sinks his foot right into the wood to lock the first box. Throwing another kick, he stacks the second one right on top, making a perfect pile. Standing way up on top of the boxes, he just stacked in the blink of an eye. Looking down from up there, he wonders if being a porter is always this easy. Meanwhile, the crew stares with their jaws dropped, and a guy stutters that it'll definitely work. Not missing a beat, the MC asks if they want him to toss up the rest, freezing everyone. Starting to juggle more boxes, someone screams at him to be careful and not break everything. Whispering, 2 veterans think the new kid is gonna steal absolutely everybody's job. Soon, Seo Yan shows up in the courtyard, totally confusing the guys with her presence. Keeping in mind that she shouldn't apologize, to avoid making the MC feel awkward, overthinking what he meant, feeling silly for losing sleep and chasing after him. Sensing her presence, the kid spins around to face her. Getting super flustered, she accidentally calls him Brother Hyung-woo out loud. Knowing he became a porter, the girl asks if the workload isn't way too heavy. Totally flustered, she tries to ask what he likes, but realizes she changed the subject too fast. With total calmness, Hyung-woo answers that he likes peace and hates losing his quiet time, looking away to drop the rest of his thoughts. With a straight face, he adds that he hates seeing a friend apologizing. Flashing a huge smile at being called a friend, she swears she'll never say it again. Out of nowhere, the sound of horse hooves totally interrupts their chat. By pure coincidence, Peng Shil-young shows up right in front of them. Sitting on his horse, he rolls up already, praising Seo-yeon's beauty. Confused, she asks if the master shouldn't be busy with the martial world matters, explaining that the Murim Alliance decided to give full support to the Hanam agency. But totally opposite to the peace and quiet the kid wanted, the martial world is about to turn into an absolute meat grinder. Somewhere else, a guy kneeling among corpses is grilled over 30 missing men. Shaking, the lackey begs for forgiveness, not having a clue who the monster was. Freaking out, the boss yells that their unit could go toe-to-toe with the Alliance elite. Behind a curtain, a hand wrapped in some creepy smoke starts moving, leaking an energy that wipes out everyone in the room before they hit the floor. Choking on the red mist, the very last warrior drops dead. With fiery eyes, the figure is shocked to see that just one guy wiped out everybody there. Smiling diabolically, he wants to see if those brats can handle the blood demon child. Meanwhile, at the Murim Alliance headquarters, the vibe is super tense, like a funeral, with a guy carrying his totally busted up partner in his arms, ordering a full investigation on everyone who went to Mount Hyeongsang, 0 exceptions. Roaring fiercely, the leader demands the name of the guy who wiped out his entire squad, cutting the scene right back to the Hanam escort agency, with Seo-yeon watching the Alliance crew make their big triumphant entrance. Checking the girl out, the vice leader Peng Cho-young calls her a total work of art, but his mood quickly flips, getting totally annoyed seeing that guy again. Stuck to Miss Salyan for the 100th time, mocking the porter with a sword, he tells the kid to drop the weight he can't handle, whispering to the MC to just ignore it cause messing with the Murim Alliance is asking for trouble, almost exploding with pure rage hearing her call the MC brother. Soon Peng Mi-ryong walks up, explaining they came rushing over just for Miss Jo. Right then, one of the guys walks over and asks if he's Dan Hyung-woo, confirming his name right away, leaving the girl totally confused. Introducing himself as Hyung Pyo, he says the boss ordered him to train the new escort. Totally glitching, Sol-yeon finds it super weird they drafted the boy right after he signed. Explaining that porters live out on the road, the vice leader gets thrilled with the chance, keeping it real. The MC says he doesn't know what a mission is and isn't taking off his sword. Startled by that, Hyung Pyo changes his tone and asks him to just tag along without causing trouble. Never missing a chance, Shio mocks him, asking who the kid's gonna run crying to. Looking to the side, Mi-ryong thinks he's acting exactly like a 5-year-old kid. Noticing the kid totally ignoring the taunt, she wonders if he's actually a badass. Yelling out for him, Seo-yeon asks where he's going, but the MC is already following Hyung Pyo. Laughing, Chio and his sisters think the kid ran off offended, but he just says he's following orders. Left completely clueless, the girl's face turns into a giant question mark. Pointing out the obvious, the kid says he has to follow the guy so he doesn't get fired. Calling him brother while totally melting, she thinks that dedication is just the cutest thing. Keeping up his march, he leaves Sol-yeon planted right there in the dust. Cutting over to the director telling Hyung Pyo to keep the rookie out of trouble on the mission, thinking to himself that he needs to keep the kid away from her before things get way too serious. Finding the chat weird, the warrior asks what he meant by helping out an adult, just letting him know he'll understand the second he deals with the kid. Remembering the boss mentioned the kid grew up completely isolated in the woods, but really wondering why a regular porter would have a luxury sword like that. Back in the present, Young Kyo decides to test if the kid actually knows swordplay. Answering on the spot, the MC says he uses the 3-power sword technique. Almost laughing, the warrior calls the move super basic, saying he needs something way better, pulling out his own sword right away to show him how it's really done. But the main guy doesn't even flinch, just staring with a whatever face. Challenging the kid, the guy tells him to show off what he can do, taking it way too literally. The kid asks if that means he wants to die. Panicking, Hyung Pyo clarifies it's just a sparring session to check their skill levels, repeating the part about seeing each other's levels while deep in thought, saying with the most absolute confidence in the world that he's the strongest, leaving the warrior's jaw on the floor at that sheer audacity, laughing nervously, not believing a rookie thinks he's equal to a lifelong martial artist. Still, he enjoys the MC's cockiness and promises to show him what strong really looks like. Reaching his hand out, the kid already slides right into his attack stance, keeping his hand out, trying to figure out if he should go easy on the guy, not understanding a single thing about the kid's weird-looking pose, explaining it's his very first time not fighting to kill, so he's trying to calculate his strength, spreading his arms wide, acting like he's measuring the size of the problem. With a sharp gaze, he announces he can finally hit him without sending him straight to the graveyard. finally getting what the boss meant about the kid actually being dangerous. Getting into position fast, the warrior warns him the attack is coming. Flying right at the MC with everything he's got, gripping his sword tightly. Squinting his eyes, the kid reads the movement like it's in slow motion, instantly figuring out the true power level of the incoming strike. Smirking a bit, he decides to just give him a good scare up close to avoid killing him. In a nearly invisible blur, the main guy unleashes his counterattack. Suddenly, a massive white energy blast sends Hyungpyo flying straight to the moon. Letting out a massive yell, the warrior has no idea where all that power came from. Flying super far, the guy crashes down onto the dirt incredibly hard. Sprawled out on the floor, he can only think that was definitely not the three powers technique. Getting just a tiny cut on his cheek, proving the kid's strike was perfectly surgical. Flat on the ground, Hyungpyo's eyes go wide, totally clueless about what just hit him. Out of nowhere, the MC's face pops up right in front of him, asking if it hurt. Jumping up in shock and still dizzy, he asks what kind of technique that was. Replying totally casually, he says it's the heavenly thunder of the three powers. Glitching out, he realizes the forms match, but the damage is straight out of this world. Thinking about that energy, he wonders if the boss actually knew about the Supreme Master. Right then, the kid just points out the obvious again, saying he's the strongest. Sighing, he realizes the kid is a total fighting monster but is innocent as a toddler. Deciding to keep it a secret, he takes it upon himself to teach the kid how society works. Squatting down, Hyungpyo admits that when it comes to fighting, the kid has nothing left to learn, getting just a little half smirk from the main guy. Explaining basic manners, he tells him the polite thing to do is help the guy up. Letting out an awe like a kid who finally learned his lesson. Reaching out his hand, he pulls Hyungpyo up off the ground. And just like that, the kid became the warrior's brand new roommate. At night, the guy can't even believe his eyes seeing the kid sleeping on his feet like that. Becoming his personal teacher, he explains everything the kid missed during his cave time. During training, the MC takes off his shirt and the master yells at him not to change in the courtyard, getting completely red in the face with the rookie's crazy antics. Over time, the MC loses his awkwardness and starts blending in with the porters. But the nightmare never ends, screaming at him to not take off his pants too. Meanwhile, Mirayung and her crew are still going strong on their investigation. In a meeting, Dako-eun shocks everyone by ordering them to spy on the Jo family, demanding hard evidence on the table if they had any part in the Green Forest attack. Saluting instantly, Mirayung and the rest accept the mission without a second thought. Looking over the yard, she finds it totally normal, minus the half-naked hillbilly who can't stand still. Quickly noticing that Seo-yeon absolutely cannot take her eyes off the MC. With a wicked smirk, she comments that the little boss lady has some pretty exotic tastes, while young Miss Jo can only think about the kid with a super special affection. With time flying by, the MC officially turns into a right-hand man at the Hanam agency. Until the big day finally arrives, it's time for the actual escort mission, turning the courtyard into a massive mess of horses and heavy armor. Wishing them luck, the director tells leader Mangyuk to do his job and come back in one piece. Being an old veteran, the guy swears the agency absolutely never fails. With a loud departure yell, the cavalry finally hits the road, taking on the world as the giant caravan rolls right out of the city. Marching with straight faces, Jung Chil and the boys focus entirely on the job. In the middle of the chaos, Seo-yeon looks completely excited about the big trip. Walking side by side, Kyung-kil and the MC turn on their radars for any sign of trouble. Flashing back a few days, the Dragon Unit presents themselves to the Jo family boss. Welcoming the guys, the patriarch asks if the alliance leader is doing well health-wise, immediately offering their special guests a place to sit down. Recognizing Peng Sheo-young as the Blade Dragon, the young guy confirms it proudly. Glancing at the other guy, Il-hyun quickly deduces he must be the Sword Dragon. Flashing a bright smile, Nam Gong-jin places himself completely at their service. Right after that, Ping Mi-ryung introduces herself as the warrior's younger sister, thinking to himself that the pretty girl would be a massive catch for his son Jo-in, then casually suggesting they swap some techniques and spar with his kids. Thanking him for the hospitality, the guy says they're totally the ones gaining from this, just watching the entire scene with a little smirk of someone who knows a big secret. In a flashback, Dako-eun explains the mission to investigate the Jo family, thinking that, even on his stakeout mission, her brother isn't focusing on the job, cause he only has eyes for the young Jo, totally zeroed in on Seo-yeon. While the girl stares at a sword looking pretty pissed off, quickly noticing the girl as ignoring her brother, totally focused on some random porter. But the Blade Dragon doesn't even sweat it, not seeing the guy as a threat at all. Feeling confident Confident, he mentions knowing the porter left on a months-long escort, concluding it's the absolute perfect time to win Seol Yan's heart. Back to the caravan, the porters are taking a breather at an inn, having their very last meal before hitting the road again, with the MC in a total trance looking at the plate in front of him, quickly stabbing a nice piece of meat, savoring it with the absolute greatest joy in the world. Cooked food being the absolute best part of stepping out into the world for him. Watching this, Hyung Fyo thinks he's the first guy to eat like it's a sacred ritual, warning them to eat up, cause the destination is Sichuan, home of the Tang clan, realizing then that this time's client is the Tang family themselves. In the middle of the group, an old man in a straw hat grabs some attention. It's Tang Hoguan, a highly respected elder from the Tang family, with Haeyoung Pyo explaining that, besides the agency, the Tang family sent elite guards for the escort, leaving them guessing the insane value of the cargo they're hauling. But the MC doesn't even blink, totally focused on his piece of meat. Right then, a butterfly flies up to the elder, drawn in by the good smell. Out of nowhere, a hand crushes the bug midair, grumbling, "Oh, what a drag," turning the butterfly into dust glowing with blue energy. Sensing the disturbance in the air, the elder reacts on the spot. Soon, one of the guards asks what just happened there. Tang Ho Guan says he feels an insane aura coming from the porters. With his eyes glowing red, the old man looks for whoever it might be, scanning every single face at the porter's table, locking eyes on the kid who just keeps eating totally chilled out. Finishing dinner, everyone gets ready to march out. With that, Ma Yu promises the elder that everything is fully under control, leaving the old man wondering if the energy he felt came from the boss. Agreeing to leave, but finding it weird that the man's aura was so strong, Maya drops the bomb. They'll do the 4-month trip in just 1.5 months, leaving the porters completely shocked at the impossible deadline, warning them, "Quick, if you piss off Mao Yuk, you're fired for sure, so run," with the leader giving the final shout to move out, leaving the MC clueless as to why he'd say something so completely obvious. Quickly, the caravan takes off, leaving nothing but dust behind. His missions being a total nightmare, forcing everyone to run at horse speed. Running without breaking a sweat, the kid ignores Hyung Kyo begging from exhaustion. Cause the kid keeps up the pace like he's just taking a walk in the park, following the crew flying low right through the forest. At night, the MC keeps watch standing up, and the leader explains the kid sleeps like that. And just like that, the group finally reaches their destination, with the caravan entering its final stretch, reaching Mount Pyeongjeongjun in just 2 days. Cutting through the sky out of nowhere, a spear slams into the dirt right in front of them, yelling loudly. A Tang family guard orders everybody to halt. Glowing with a blue light, the weapon blocks their path entirely. Pulling the reins hard, Mayuk makes his horse stop in a panic. Drawing his sword fast, he deflects the spear away. Looking around, the escort leader asks who just crashed the party. Soon, a whole gang of bandits steps right out of the woods. Taking a step forward, a jacked bald guy gives a cynical smirk. With his sword on his shoulder, he warns they either drop the cargo and scram or die. Without flinching, the Tang elder says the green force is totally under control. Trying to calm the MC down, Hyeonpyo suggests just paying the toll. Tossing a bag of coins, Mayuk tells them to clear the road. Catching the cash midair, the bandit leader just laughs. But instead of keeping it, he slices the bag, letting the coins fly everywhere, quickly flashing a super sinister smile. In the blink of an eye, he jumps straight at Mayuk with an axe, catching the escort leader completely off guard. From a distance, the MC realizes the guy is out for blood. Bringing the heavy axe down, Mayuk barely manages to block it with his sword, except the force of the strike is just way too brutal. The impact hitting so hard that the leader spits out blood, rolling with the bandit right off the horse and onto the ground. Mocking the trashy agency, the bald guy orders his goons to slaughter everyone. Quickly, the gang charges in with everything right at the caravan. With that, the bald leader shifts his target straight to the Tang elder. Laughing out loud, he claims they're the heroes of the grain forest, not your average thieves. Charging the old man, he yells that it's an absolute honor to die by his hands. Clenching his fist, the elder feels pity, cause average bandits might have survived. In a lightning-fast move, he fires off a poison dart, sticking right into the bald guy's neck, who just mumbles that it's impossible. Soon, the bandit's body turns into a dark stain and drops dead. Seeing their boss drop dead out of nowhere, the rest of the gang goes into shock. Holding his needles, the old man blows up at them for touching the family's goods, asking if they seriously thought they'd walk away in one piece. With a quick gesture, he unleashes an absolute rain of poison needles, making the metal fly perfectly on target straight at the bandits. Right then, the guards push forward while the needles do all the dirty work, making the enemy struck down like flies one by one. Joining the cleanup, the Tang warriors just run the bandits straight over. Soon, all hell breaks loose and the ground starts piling up with bodies. Suddenly, masked guys show up, proving the bandits were just a big distraction. Giving the order, the masked boss warns that absolutely nobody is leaving there alive. Warning his men, the elder says these guys are the real enemies, making it crystal clear the cargo must reach Sichuan even if every single one of them dies, ordering his elite squad to protect the merchandise with their own lives. Quickly, the Tang family warriors brace themselves for an absolute massacre, kicking off a total bloodbath between the masked guys and the escort. Fighting side by side, the Hanum crew and the Tangs just try to stay alive. Right then, Mayuk locks blades with a masked guy in a super heavy clash, turning the forest into a literal war zone while the MC just watches from a distance. Yelling loudly, a porter orders everyone to hold their formation. Popping out of nowhere, a masked guy attacks an agency guard right in the back. Realizing fast that his men can't handle it cause the Tangs flat out refuse to help. Right then, a blade completely slashes Hyung Pyo's arm open, making the warrior let out a massive scream of pain from the cut. Spotting the opening, another masked guy rushes in to finish the job. In that exact second, Hyung Pyo remembers when he asked for food at dinner, remembering the kid smiling and actually sharing his meat with him. Snapping back to reality, the main guy finally draws his sword. With a single strike, he unleashes a blue flash that explodes right on the attacking masked guy, with the enemy getting brutally swallowed up by lightning and pure electricity, completely disintegrating the guy with the raw impact of the technique, freezing the other villains, wondering if a lightning bolt just fell from the sky out of nowhere. In total shock, Hyung Pyo asks if that was the heavenly thunder once again, replying simply that he saved him because the two of them are great friends. Desperate, Mayuk begs him to save the rest of their squad. Meanwhile, the fight keeps going and the Hanum crew is still getting totally crushed. Screaming in total panic, Zhang Chil and the boys yell that they have no idea how to fight, with the MC saying he doesn't really get this whole teammate concept. But since they asked, he decides to fix the problem by jumping right into the brawl, going straight at the enemies with a huge smile on his face. Meanwhile, the Tang elder stands his ground right in the middle of the crossfire. Struggling hard, Mayuk tries his best to block a masked guy's strikes, while the old man defends against absolutely everything using flawless technique. Taunting him, the enemy boss says those little throwing toys aren't gonna work, warning he'll leave the rest alive if they hand over the cargo right this second. Popping into the scene out of nowhere, the MC completely chops off a masked guy's arm. Soon, another enemy takes a fatal hit straight to the back, with the kid moving so fast that only the Tang elder can actually track his blur. With a little half smirk, the kid asks if that's good enough for them. In a total blur, he wipes the battlefield clean, frying absolutely everybody with his lightning, stopping right after to check out the trail of destruction he left behind, ending the entire fight in the literal blink of an eye. Somewhere else, someone gets the news that the squad was completely wiped out. Grilling her underling, Umanhai brings up his absolute guarantee they beat the elder. Apologizing profusely, the guy reports an unexpected master and promises to look into it. Cutting him off, the boss lady decides to handle everything herself. Freezing on the spot, the lackey asks if she's really gonna go through all that trouble, with the filthy rich human clan owning a third of all trade, basically running the show, with Tang family secrets recently making their way to the Amun's ears, confirming on the terrace that the Tangs built grenades shipped in 5 carts, with the Manhuang thinking about the recovery of the lost formula from the ancient Thunder sect, explaining that the Firesmith Manor is made up of descendants of that ancient sect. The boss, realizing the danger came back to the world through those exact 5 carts, being enough explosives to wipe out entire regions with the right formula, with the woman finishing his train of thought right after with a super firm look. Crushing a messenger bird, the boss declares they absolutely have to steal those grenades. Trembling, the subordinate reveals the young lady already headed out with the elite army. Panicking, the boss finds out she's already closing in on Mount Pyeongjong, while young Yumanhai gallops full speed right through the forest, riding hard with absolute murder in her eyes. Back at the battlefield, the MC cleared the area, but the agency was totally decimated, leaving only Leader Ma heavily injured and Hyang Pyo, with the rest just being porters absolutely scared to death. Right then, a Tang guard suggests switching agencies just to be safe. Pissed off, he pushes the idea, totally thinking the elder used that huge attack, leaving the old man's jaw on the floor at the sheer ignorance. Soon, the guard congratulates him, saying he should have warned them about all that power. Indignant, the guard asks who actually launched the attack then, replying that, if his old eyes are still working right, the guy behind the strike was that random porter with the sword, walking straight over to talk to our main guy, asking exactly which sect the kid came from. But the kid just spaces out, not understanding a single thing. Remembering Jeonkija, he says his master never taught him absolutely anything. Thinking back to the past, he explains he learned it all in literal death matches, cutting the chat short and just saying he doesn't have any sect at all. Freezing on the spot, the elder doubts so much talent just popped up out of nowhere, thinking it's a joke until Hyun Pyeon steps in to defend his buddy. whispering for the kid to keep his mouth shut if he's just gonna talk nonsense. Hearing that, the old man praises Hyun Pyo's serious guts, soon ordering him to lead the escort just to keep the MC close by. Agreeing, the injured Mayuk decides to head back to grab some backup. Gulping hard, Hyun Pyo takes the heat and agrees to haul the cargo. With that, the caravan starts moving down the road again, continuing the trip with the kid riding high on horseback. Later on, John Chill calls the hero over at the camp, handing him a piece of meat, claiming he deserves nothing but the absolute best. Crying tears of joy, Hyun Pyo swears to deliver everything completely safe, deciding to rest up and only head out the very next day. However, the guards still can't believe the rookie is an actual master, just watching the whole conversation in total silence. In the morning, the journey continues with Hyun Pyo officially in charge, while Ma Yuk rides like an absolute madman to report the attack, knowing they desperately need backup against any new ambushes. Suddenly feeling a totally freezing chill run right down his spine. Noticing he's being hunted, he tries to speed up his horse any way he can, his eyes going wide seeing a shadow flying straight at him, and in the blink of an eye a chained blade goes right through his chest, flying right off the horse from the completely brutal impact, the weapon returning right back to its owner's hand like a boomerang. Soon, masked assassins pop right out of the dark shadows, being the absolute elite unit of the Blood Demon Child. With that, the leader announces the rat is officially done for, declaring that their very next target is gonna be the Joe family. Far away, a guy says he absolutely can't put off his training anymore, with the director watching his subordinate in complete silence. Then, Dako-un, the Alliance leader, declares he's gonna put an end to this. Right then, an old man's hand shakes, smudging the ink right on the paper. Spooked, sensing a completely crushing presence closing in, staining the entire piece of paper with the dark ink. While outside, all hell is completely breaking loose. Taking a solid hit, a guard gets knocked out after yelling about the ambush. Shocked, the family boss says they totally saw this coming. With that, the assassins swarm the place, with zero orders to leave survivors. Drawing his sword furiously, the director yells, asking who launched the attack. But the boss holds the captain back, ordering him to fall back right now. Not understanding a thing, the old man asks what the reason for that is, explaining their bloodlust is totally bizarre and absolutely impossible to fight off. With a total massacre happening outside, the guards don't stand a single chance. Soon, he lets him know there's a way more important place he needs to be right now, bolting down the hallways at absolute full speed, busting into his daughter's room, warning her about the huge emergency, ordering her to get out of there as fast as humanly possible. Terrified, the young girl asks where he's planning to go. Right then, explosions light up the night, with the guards screaming for backup, yelling in total despair while getting cornered by a masked guy. Then, the leader orders them to wipe out the Hanam agency and any trace left. Soon, Seo Yan and the crew manage to mount up and make a run for it, galloping full speed through the pitch-black forest. Looking back, watching the entire estate turn into absolute ashes, going into total shock seeing the fire at their house and the agency. But the director yells not to look back and just keep on running. Panicking, the girl screams that her dad is still stuck back there, remembering he's Zhou Il-yan, the absolute greatest spearman in Henan. Gripping his spear, the patriarch braces himself for the heavy combat, blowing up a chunk of the roof with just a single swift move, guaranteeing that absolutely nobody in Heho-chung can ever beat him. Recognizing the target as the big boss of the Zhou family, quickly getting into position for the massive brawl. Then the enemy leader orders them to bring him his head right now, telling Seol-yeon her dad only stayed behind to buy them some precious time. Soon, Jo-in agrees with his uncle and tells her to trust their dad, but she freezes up, suggesting they hide out, asking the Rising Dragon unit to stay behind and fight. Cutting him off, the Blade Dragon announces they're heading right back to the Alliance, explaining the enemies are way too dangerous and they need to sound the alarm fast. Agreeing, Namgun-jin knows the massive hunt is gonna start super soon. Desperate, the girl thinks of the only person she can actually trust right now, remembering that porter who completely scared off the bandits back on the mountain. With a serious face, the director decides to take a completely different route, saying goodbye to the Blade Dragon, with everyone going their own separate ways, warning they gotta run hard to catch up with the Sichuan escort squad. Crying her eyes out, the girl prays for her dad to make it out alive. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, the fight rages on under the bright full moon. Even badly injured, the family boss absolutely refuses to drop his spear, demanding to know who they are and the reason for all this insane violence. But the assassins just laugh right in his face, with the shadow asking if he really thinks they'll spill anything before he dies, yelling for the absolute coward to finally show his face. Right then, the shadow attacks, unleashing a totally sinister red energy, freezing up seeing demonic claws reflecting right inside his own eyes. stuttering in total disbelief, asking how Cheon was actually still alive. Cutting him off, the creature says he threw that name straight in the trash, praising Mu Young for his work and asking about the hired killers. Hearing that, the lackey says they already went out to hunt the Joe family down, admitting he still hasn't caught on to the boss's master plan, not getting why the blood demon child wants to crush them so badly. Then, the monster asks if he knows about his massive feud with Chain Kija, replying that he knows about the hardcore rivalry between the two of them. Confirming the connection, the villain says he's the only one left standing now, with a super macabre smile, saying the payback officially starts right there, being the very first step to destroy absolutely everything Cheon Kija planned out. Meaning not a single person from the Joe bloodline is allowed to stay alive. Far away, the director runs with the crew, praying they actually find the escort, with Jel-in pushed to the absolute limit, running completely out of breath, yelling for the kid to not fall behind no matter what happens. Sweating bullets, he says he'll figure it out and tells him to go save So-yeon. Desperate, the girl screams that she is absolutely not leaving him behind. Right then, a bladed whip cuts right through the air straight toward her, jumping right in front, thinking his exhaustion was going to get everybody killed, taking the completely fatal strike head-on, screaming the young guy's name in total absolute despair. Going into total shock, Seol-yeon screams out for her brother. Somewhere else, the blade dragon feels a chill and stops completely out of nowhere. Freezing up, he tells his sister they absolutely need to head back to help Miss Joe. Meanwhile, an assassin charges in yelling that he finally caught the prey, letting out a terrified scream and falling right off her horse, with the director also getting knocked down by another masked guy. Soon, the gang surrounds the whole crew, leaving them with absolutely no way out. Flat on the ground and powerless, the old man calls out for his niece. Crying hard, the girl feels like she lost her dad, her brother, and her whole world. Praising their run, the assassin leader announces the little game is totally over, raising his sword high up to deliver the absolute final blow. Suddenly, a massive blast of blue energy hits the guy dead on, sending the assassin flying way back from the heavy impact. Wiping her eyes, So-yeon looks straight to the side, seeing the MC emerge right from the middle of the blue dust, showing up looking completely pissed off and ready to protect her, whispering Hyungwoo's name, getting totally super emotional, freezing up completely, not actually believing he showed up, with Hyungpyo and the porters showing up right behind him to back him up, while the Tang elder watches the whole thing with a totally straight face. A little bit earlier, the caravan was traveling right through the forest, but the kid just stopped walking completely out of nowhere. Finding his vibe weird, Hyungpyo asked what was actually going on, just saying he'd be back in an absolute flash. Super worried, the escort leader screamed out for him. However, the main guy had already totally vanished into the dark because he was completely sure about what he heard, being her voice calling right out for him. Back to the fight. The assassin attacks Seol-yeon to wipe out the Joe bloodline, but another blue blast cuts his attack short, turning the villain's sword into shrapnel right on the spot, with the dust settling and revealing the MC once again, stepping right in front of the girl like a human shield, saying firmly that he heard the young lady calling him. With that, she blurts out his name between shocked sobs. Backing away terrified, the assassins ask who the crazy guy is. Thrown on the ground, the director can't believe his eyes, looking at Seol-yeon with a different glow on his face, then turning to the enemies with a totally murderous rage, making the leader stutter, having no clue where the kid came from. At that moment, the main guy looks at the fallen director, with the half-dead old man mumbling that it's enough. Losing his patience, the leader orders them to kill the intruder. Then, the kid puts his hand on the confused girl's head, asking her gently to go ahead and wipe away her tears, looking at the guys charging in and warning it'll be quick, rushing into the attack like an absolute blur, moving like lightning, slicing through anyone in his way, making an assassin scream without grasping the bizarre technique, watching jaws drop as 20 men turn to ash in a second, looking at the hero, wishing she had half of all that strength, going to her brother's body, saying she'll be right back for him, promising to give the young man a proper resting place, turning to the kid and asking what to do with her life now, feeling like nothing, completely without a family or a home. At that, the MC just repeats the word alone, remembering the hell he went through and saying he also managed alone, explaining that, despite everything, he had to face the world, reaching out his hand straight toward the girl, asking her to stop crying because he's right there now, reminding her she was the first to help him, so it's his turn, giving her his hand and telling her to live however she wants, leaving Seol-yeon deep in thought about what she really wants. firmly deciding to join the whole escort mission, quickly grabbing the young lady's wrist, warning that he's taking off and telling her to hold on tight, luring out a what? Completely confused by everything, jumping out of nowhere with the two of them flying through the sky, looking down completely terrified of the sheer height, realizing the guy is literally walking right on the clouds, with the strong wind drying her tears right on the spot. That fast flight serving as the very best comfort for her, being amazed to see that the kid is an absolute monster of strength, curiously asking how he has so much power being so young, replying that it's the result of fighting just to stay alive. Intrigued, she asks exactly who he fought so hard against, summing it all up in just one single word: demons, then asking him to tell that whole story properly. Just standing there staring right at her in silence, noticing with a sad face that he hasn't let go of her hand, and the kid stays totally silent for a brief moment, thinking back to the blood and absolute chaos of the cave. All that torture just to reach one specific man, the guy known as Xiankija, commenting on a dead friend who took away his revenge, stepping away and warning he'll tell the rest later on, running non-stop straight to the final destination, which is the last remaining group from the agency. Relieved, the girl yells for her uncle, who jumps in surprise. At that, a flashback mentally replays their whole conversation, asking if he actually thinks Xiankija is still alive. But some unexpected news completely changes the mood. After so much running, the duo finally catches up to the escort. Getting close, the young lady quickly calls out to them, yelling for Hyun-pyo, who asks what exactly happened, going into shock upon hearing about the Jo family's end, making the porters go into a state of total panic. Soon enough, Seo-yeon apologizes for the terrible news, being comforted by the veteran right on the spot, starting to brainstorm a way to climb out of this hole, having a sudden light bulb moment right after that, remembering the fat reward to start a brand new life, or even using the cash to rebuild the agency from scratch, leaving the young lady touched by such huge optimism, regaining the strength to lead whoever is still left. Then the MC asks if it's finally time to march, confirming everything so the group can hit the road again. At that, a tank guard recognizes the Joel heiress, but the elder tells them to calmly focus on the job, making the porters hit the trail once again, keeping up the pace right side by side with the girl, while Elder Town cracks a very satisfied smile, remembering the cave with a whole lot of weirdness. Soon, Seo-yeon brings up that previous topic again, asking straight up if Xiankija is actually dead or not, replying that his death completely ruins his revenge, closely watching the young lady's reaction. Jumping into the chat, Hyun-pyo questions that, explaining that the guy's death was a really shady story, even with the whole world buying the entire story, seeming like someone spread that on purpose, just so everyone would assume the master was dead, questioning who would even win with all this lie, with the most obvious reason being wanting to fall off the map, spooking the girl with the chance of a faked death. Staring blankly, the MC remembers it's been 10 years. Suddenly, Elder Tang orders everyone to stop right there, running into another caravan completely blocking the way, explaining the carriage totally broke down, begging for an escort for his lady. Narrowing his eyes, the elder recognizes the Yumun clan's crest. At that, Umanhai, the young clan boss, steps out of the carriage, staring down everyone with a very serious look, doubting this huge coincidence right after so many attacks on the cargo, opening his mouth to refuse but getting totally cut off, formally introducing herself as the clan leader's daughter, leaving the whole group drooling over the lady's beauty, hypnotizing Hyun-pyo, while the MC finds the fuss a total drag, taking a simple single step forward, and with total elegance taking a beautiful leap, practically floating through the air so smoothly, leaving even the seasoned elder stunned for a second by the beauty, landing right after, smooth as a butterfly, straight into the wagon carrying all the goods, stuttering it's not right for strangers there, but she agrees with a smile, while the main guy stays mute, just watching everything, shocked to notice even the old master fell under the girl's spell, thanking them for the help and saying she's in their hands now, agreeing right away, with the porters completely won over. Snapping back, the elder suggests she heads to the front wagon, turning down the offer saying she loves riding with the goods, suddenly locking her eyes right onto the kid, spotting that interest right away and going on high alert, dropping the subject, saying she won't be picky since she's begging, getting comfy in the wagon right next to our hero. Pretty annoyed, the old guy gives the order for the caravan to move, finding it too easy to fool the old man. She tells her guys to use only telepathy. With that, the henchmen confirm the command on the spot, reporting there's only one real warrior and about 30 porters, agreeing and figuring that, aside from the elder, the rest are nothing, just sitting there watching the porters marching down the road, finding it ridiculous that pricey grenades have such lame protection, with these bombs being famous for wiping out whole clans without a trace. Thanks to that firepower, the sect ruled everything for a good while, it being super ironic that the blast from the bombs destroyed the sect, finding it weird that her elite died without a single grenade being used, dying of curiosity to know what kind of monster wiped out her men, looking at the MC and finding his simple clothes alongside a weapon on, plus he doesn't seem to have the build of someone who trained martial arts, thinking he's just a nobody but unable to stop staring at him, deciding then to get just a little bit closer to the kid. At that, the kid stares back at the woman without saying a word. Trying to play nice, the young boss tries to strike up a chat, saying hi, but getting totally ignored and just boiling with rage. Outraged by the snub, she insists the porter pay some attention, finally looking the exact moment the girl locks onto his eyes, getting hit by an absolute chill right on the spot. That look having a total indifference, deeper than she's ever felt before. Furious and humiliated, she decides to smile, swearing to make the guy kneel, setting up camp at nightfall with the call to rest right there. At that, the porters collapse on the ground, dead tired. Soon, the MC steps away from everyone and heads into the woods, going right after him with a bowl of hot soup, finding the kid and mentioning that he was over there. But before handing over the soup, Umunhai pops out of nowhere, ignoring the girl and going straight for the main guy, whispering for him to follow her, promising to tell him what he wants, daring the kid to try and keep up with her if he even can, smirking ironically, hoping not to totally crush his confidence, adding that if he can't handle it, it'll be a total letdown. Suddenly, the MC pops up right in front of her, leaving her in shock, not believing he was way faster than her. At that, one of the lady's guards calls out to her from afar, recognizing his boss's voice and ordering them to follow him. Staying completely frozen, Umanhee just stares at the kid, knowing her lightness technique is unmatched in the clan, and not understanding how a simple porter managed to leave her in the dust. Just standing there waiting for the promised answer, annoyed at being beaten, she demands to know who he is. Being blunt, he wants to know about Che and Kija before the soup gets cold. Surprised, the young lady confesses she doesn't know his whereabouts, getting confused until she sees Seol-yan nearby with a bowl. Soon the guards show up furious, asking what's going on, yelling at the porter and already drawing their swords. But the boss ruins the fun and orders them to sheath their weapons now. Looking back, noticing the place is completely empty, making the guards freak out over his sudden vanishing act. Impressed, she notes he vanished without using any technique at all. At that, Seol-yan gets spooked, noticing the soup is gone, turning around and seeing the MC right there, already sipping the hot soup. Dumbfounded, the young lady asks when he got back, taking the chance to ask about the lady in the woods, saying he knows nothing, letting her show up whenever she wants. Giving a little smile, the young lady mentions that Yuman is pretty, just looking right at her in total silence. Out of nowhere, reaching out and giving her a gentle pet, telling her she is way prettier. Starting to cry, really touched by the compliment, with a full mouth, dropping that she could win over any man. Curious, asking how she looks to him and if she's attractive. Staring at the girl really seriously, just standing there, super anxious for the final verdict, then blurring out she's not quite as pretty as the other one, adding with a straight face that he doesn't like pretty women. Completely lost, Seol-yan asks for the reason, replying that the temptation of pretty women only brings death. Meanwhile, Umanhai guarantees the porter is the real target, being sure of the massacre but deciding to observe a little more. Going unnoticed, the agency's trip was already getting close to Sichuan, getting right up close to Seol-yan, warning her to keep her eyes peeled, cause the vibe gets heavy near the destination, with the caravan keeping right on moving. The bad feeling being real, with Elder Tang sensing danger up close, thinking they arrive at the base tomorrow, leaving only the Black Snake, growing way too fast over the last 10 years, and becoming the only force capable of standing up to the Tong family, getting closer to a gate soon enough, making the atmosphere truly tense. Sweating cold, the Elder wonders if someone in the family spilled the beans, warning the MC about the ambush, but he just says there are about 100. Freezing on the spot, Mimunhai can't believe he counted the enemies by scent. Suddenly, the guys from the Black Snake Hall jump right into the attack, calmly commenting that the first 50 have arrived. Yelling that the cargo is priority, the Elder tells the MC just to watch the wagons, leaning in on the kid to ask what he thinks of the brawl, telling him to chill out, cause the old guy's group would easily win. At that, all hell breaks loose and the invaders start getting wiped out, the number of enemies not making a bit of difference to the Tang elite. Watching it all, the young boss wonders if she underestimated the Tang family. Back turned to the mess. The hero notes they cleared out the first 50. Seeing the plan went south, the woman decides it's better to fall back, quickly throwing a sneaky signal right to her men. But before they can retreat, a fresh wave of enemies shows up, noticing that the rest of the gang has arrived. Smiling, the clan boss thinks the fun is truly about to start, whispering that now is the time to strike while the Tangs are tired. Moving forward right then and there with her henchmen, seeing the move and realizing they've got their eyes on the wagons, whispering about how to get the heck out without anyone noticing, replying instantly that he won't stop them if they want to run, stuttering and almost falling backwards, having no idea how he heard, realizing in panic that the kid totally intercepted their telepathy with a deadly glare, warning he'll kill everyone if they don't get lost. Going into shock seeing it's not a bluff at all. Accepting defeat, the underling takes off running, thanking him for saving her men and admitting the MC is a total enigma, just staring in silence since the real reason for that was totally different. It being an insane bloodlust from somewhere else that really worried him, with the fight ending after the elder sweeps the Black Snake Hall. Watching from afar, someone notices the front line is totally done for, warning it's just bait to attack when the group sleeps all relaxed. Everything going exactly according to plan, getting away safely with the main guy looking the other way. Soon, Hyungpyo announces the camp will be right there, asking if Seolyeon wants to sleep in Umun's tent near the wagon, refusing privileges while others suffer, leaving the warrior feeling awkward. Getting really close to the main guy then. Worried, the young lady asks to be escorted by him all the way to Sichuan, just standing there staring straight at the girl, with a sad look, saying she really needs him around, reaching his hand right out toward the young lady, promising in all seriousness that he isn't going to ditch her. At that, a porter confesses he underestimated the overly peaceful agency, but on this trip, he finally had a reality check, grasping the bloody price of peace and asking the source of the MC's strength. Full of confidence, Seolyeon decides to sleep on the dirt with the gang, warning the warrior that she's the big boss of the agency now. Right away, the MC calls out to her, asking if she's got anything to say, laying down the truth that everyone starts out as a porter in the escort, smiling emotionally, super proud of his growth. When night falls, total silence takes over the entire camp, with the Black Snake elite getting into position for the strike, them being absolute masters in stealth and surprise attacks, moving all together as if they were one single shadow, pushing forward totally quietly against the guards, starting to set absolutely every wagon on fire, with the Tang warriors getting caught off guard and taken down. Even the elder ends up getting captured and all tied up, while the MC and the others keep on sleeping without noticing a thing, an assassin sneaking up softly with his sword ready for the hero. But at the very last millisecond, the kid wakes up, walking over to Seolyeon, who is sleeping out in the open, tucking the girl in to help her sleep way better. Suddenly, a pair of red eyes glows right in the dark, with a voice ordering the Red Moon Corps to focus on the massacre. Confirming the order, a creepy red energy takes over the woods, feeling the vibe and letting slip that he was hiding out there, standing up and staring right into the pitch-black woods. At that, an assassin jumps at him and the MC counts 1, dodging the enemy strike with absolutely zero effort, knocking the guy out super fast with a clean kick. Another one pops up and he drops a quick 2, dropping one more enemy right to the ground, with a third one attacking and the kid just saying 3. Then, the enemy leader orders total death, starting with a dangerous target, the target being exactly poor old Elder Tong, with the killer getting into position to slit the old man's throat, bringing the blade down hard for the totally fatal blow. Turning on flash mode, the MC moves exactly like a blur, stepping in front of the elder and blocking the strike with his sword, blowing the assassin's weapon to absolute pieces with the impact. Boiling with hate, the boss doesn't get how he's alive and where his men went. Waking up spooked, the porters don't see a single soul around, grumbling just a quick damn right through his teeth, taunting to see if Red Moon Corps was actually their name. Freezing cold, the leader questions how the kid heard the telepathy, warning that there is no group anymore, leaving only him. With glowing eyes, the MC tells the villain to go join the dead, taking just a single strike to finish him off. In disbelief, the leader watches the Black Serpent's pricey plan go up in smoke, turning to ashes right on the spot. At that, the elder breaks free yelling, and the guard points out the forest graveyard. Worried sick, Seolyeon wants to know if the porters are okay, quickly explaining that Hyungwoo luckily moved before everyone else. Turning around and facing the whole group, touched, the young girl realizes she was protected once again. Watching from afar, Umanhee notices the kid has zero mercy, figuring out that he's impossible to read, so she decides to get closer to him. With a little smirk, she praises Mr. Porter, just standing there staring right back at her, with the caravan hitting the road right after, leaving the danger behind and riding safely thanks to our hero, until they finally reach their destination in Chengdu, Sichuan. Celebrating the end of the job, Zhongqiu just wants to get drunk and be happy. Standing next to Umanhee, Seolyeon turns to the woman, remembering the lady had another stop before Chengdu. Smiling, the boss says she'll leave at the right time, no worries. With nothing else to say, the girl just nods. Joking about the job, Hyungpyo apologizes that he doesn't get jokes, explaining the plan to visit his important friend's family, immediately remembering the red-haired kid, who asked before dying for him to live and apologize to his dad, that friend being from the Tang family of Sichuan. Finally getting the real reason why he needed to go in. At last, the escort stops right in front of the Tang estate. Running excitedly to the elder, a guy gets cut off with the order to unload everything. Looking around, totally amazed to finally be in Sichuan. Soon enough, Elder Tang hands over the cash for the job, taking the heavy bag of coins. Realizing it's her first paycheck as the head of the agency. Feeling a massive weight on her shoulders after her brother and uncle died. Trying to comfort the girl, the warrior says things will look up, wiping away a tear and agreeing to stay strong for those still around, thanking him and asking him to stick by her side. Tagging along to the Tangs, one of Uman's goons complains about losing the grenades, telling him to forget the weapons, since the main house would find out soon enough. Smiling with confidence, she claims the clan never fails its goals, turning around and putting all her focus on the MC, with everyone staring at the kid, each of them feeling something different about such a crazy strong master. But on the flip side, our hero is just locked onto the entrance of the Tang family estate, walking slowly right up to the giant gate, bringing his friend's final words straight back to mind. Walking up, Hyangpyo mentions an Ak family mansion, which was his friend's name. Thanking them for the job, the elder offers some rest, but Hyangpyo turns it down flat, jumping out of nowhere and vanishing from sight, leaving the warrior's jaw on the floor, landing smack on the roof, and looking over the entire city from way up high. Thinking of Aksigi, he focuses hard to track down a trace of his energy. Right away, he feels a chi flow exactly like his red-haired friends. Meanwhile, Zhang Chil only wants a hot bath, while Sol Yan asks where he's going, popping up out of nowhere, stepping up to the young leader, patting her head, leaving the girl totally surprised by the gesture, just letting her know he'll be right back. And without spilling any details, he turns his back and takes off, with Hyunpyo pumped up, telling him they should pick up the pace, and the two of them hitting the road, switching the scene to the gate of a huge mansion, showing a red-haired guy crying, bummed out about coming back home like that. That guy being young Ak Song Jeong, getting chewed out by his dad, who barks that the Ak mansion has no room for cowards. Just then, another guy smiles, telling him to chill and introduces himself as Dan Hyung-woo. Meanwhile, Umun-hai and her goons keep tailing the duo, with the warrior getting annoyed, realizing the girl won't get off their backs, following them blindly, without even knowing where they're headed. Without looking back, the MC says the veteran's pace is way too slow, touching Hyunpyo's back and passing his own chi right into him, startling the warrior, who suddenly feels his whole body recharge. Smiling, he tells him to speed it up toward the Ak family mansion, leaving Human High completely shocked at their speed, figuring he was holding back. Flying right through the city streets, moving side by side, going full throttle, stopping right in front of a massive gate, finally making it to the Ak family mansion, letting him know that if the kid's ready they can head straight in, crossing the courtyard in a flash, with young Newman enter, men sweating bullets trying to keep up, knocking on the door, finding it weird that a place this big has 0 guards, opening the door super carefully, and someone opening it from the inside at the exact same time, revealing Ak Song-gyeom, standing face to face with the redhead, glaring at the duo with a pretty nasty look, barking that they aren't taking visitors, but the veteran pushes back and asks for Ak Seiji, freezing right on the spot when he hears that name, making the vibe super heavy as the warrior gets creeped out by his sudden bloodlust, bringing such a weird, heavy pressure that it's hard to even breathe. Suddenly, a hand clamps right onto Sung-gyum's arm, turning around completely furious, and coming face to face with the MC gripping his arm, yelling in rage, asking if the kid is messing with him, but getting hit with a dead silent stare, squeezing the redhead's arm with crazy strength, and tossing the guy to the ground like it was absolutely nothing, crashing hard onto the ground, totally in shock at the MC's brute strength. With that, the MC flat out asks why he attacked his friend. From a distance, Umunye panics when the kid doesn't even try to dodge, jumping in to cool things down, explaining it's all just a misunderstanding. Then an older guy steps up looking suspicious, asking about their friendship. Right away, he nods and introduces himself as Dan Hyung-woo, with Hyung-pyo trying to smooth things over, saying the kid lived totally off the grid. Then Ak-ung introduces himself, revealing his nephew went missing 10 years ago, glaring at the MC and demanding to know where the kid is, connecting the dots that Cheonchija died a decade ago, right around the time he vanished, realizing that those 100 years of hell were actually just 10. Losing patience, Ak-ung grabs the kid and yells for answers, but keeping his cool, the kid says he needs to tell the truth about his friend. With a dead serious look, he drops the bomb that Akseiji is dead, freezing the uncle right on the spot, who curses out the MC with pure hatred. Blinded by rage, he draws his weapon and charges in with everything he's got, bringing the strike down with full force right at his head. At that, Hyungpyo goes into full panic mode and screams, fearing the worst. Watching from a distance in total disbelief, letting out a scream, yelling out in desperation to try and stop the tragedy, running in without thinking and unleashing her energy to stop the attack. With one of her goons trying to hold her back, warning her about the danger, but the strike is easily stopped by the MC's bare hand, without even flinching, keeping an absolute poker face. Right as about to step in, Yumanhai freezes in pure shock, unable to believe what she was actually seeing, tilting his head just a little to the side, looking over at the young boss and letting her know he doesn't need any help, leaving her clueless as to how he walked away from that hit without a scratch, because the weapon didn't even touch him, stopping dead on a barrier of pure chi. Freaking out Akong, who wonders why he didn't strike back with all that power, suddenly an older guy shows up and chews him out for attacking a guest. It's Ak Baiwan, the head of the family, ripping into his hot-headed brother, with teary eyes, apologizing to his older brother, just watching from a distance as Yumun-hee recognizes the old man. The MC quickly figures out it's Aksegi's dad and repeats that his boy has died, making the Ak family leader's expression drop in an instant, letting out a long sigh, mourning such a tragic fate, until he pulls himself together and invites everyone inside the mansion. Meanwhile, Seo-yeon waits at the inn, wondering if they're gonna take long, thinking back to when the MC patted her head, smiling all red in the face, wondering what that gesture actually meant. Out of nowhere, her peace is shattered by someone yelling that they found him, with a bunch of assassins crashing the place to grab their targets. Jumping up startled, thinking it's just a bar brawl downstairs. But before anyone can react, a Tang family guard gets his throat slit, making his buddies run in the panic, screaming for Boss Joe, and the Hanam agency crew jumps up from the table in a flash, with Jong Chil complaining he just wanted a peaceful drink without running into blades. Telling everyone to fall back, the boss warns that without the MC, things are gonna get ugly. Thankful they aren't the targets, but totally horrified by the guts of a murder right there. Just then, the attackers step up, a whole pack of warriors circling the body. Furious, one of the men yells that the Tang family and a Great Heaven sect will make them pay. Mocking them, the Blue Moon leader says the Tangs are just cornered dogs now. Freezing at that name, Seolyeon remembers the ambush on their cargo back on the road. Laughing, the enemy says they gave them a chance to surrender, but they chose to be lapdogs instead. Flashing a cruel smile, he orders the absolute massacre, kicking off a bloodbath, proving the Black Serpent rules over Sichuan, swallowing up the old clans, and challenging the power of the Tang family. Watching the slaughter, the girl decides to bolt and avoid the clash, but Jung Chil freezes up, completely paralyzed by pure terror, and acting on impulse, the big guy throws himself right into the chaos. Stepping up to Seolyeon, an enemy drops a cheap line about her being a flower. Laughing, another goon asks if his buddy already picked out his fun for the night. With a totally icy glare, the boss tells the guy to get lost. Ignoring the warning, he grabs the girl's arm to drag her away by force, warning her she has no clue how dangerous it is to cross the Black Serpent. Before he can even finish his threat, Seolyeon locks onto his wrist, leaving the guy completely clueless about what's happening. In a flash, she flips him right over her shoulder, slamming the dude into the ground with everything she's got. Surprised, the leader wipes the blood from his mouth, figuring she was just a pretty face. Looks like this flower actually has some real thorns. Curious, he asks for the girl's name. Standing her ground, she introduces herself as Jo Seolyeon, Master Jo Il-yeon's daughter, and also the boss of the Hanam escort agency. Shocking the leader, while his goons just laugh about a girl being in charge. Being a total smartass, he apologizes for not recognizing her authority. Stepping closer, he lets her know she's gonna get some special treatment. Staying focused, the boss knows she can't take on this many enemies head to head, gearing up for the only way out of this mess, making it her top priority to use all her speed to bust out of there. Sprinting away, while the leader barks at them to hunt the girl down. Right away, the goons chase after her, laughing and telling her to run faster. Running for it, she wonders if she's actually gonna make it out of this ambush alive. Far from there, at the Ak mansion, the mood is super serious, with the MC and his allies listening to the patriarch. Ak Biwan mentions his son would be 20 and asks the kid's age. Answering politely, the kid totally shocks Young Pyo by actually speaking formally, leaving the veteran having a crisis over the age gap, which worries Umun-hye. Totally tense, the family leader and his men wait for the rest of the story. With a heavy gaze, the MC reveals that CG was his closest comrade, thinking back to his friend's request to go visit the families of the fallen. Agreeing to the promise, but feeling weird about his buddy's tone. Surrounded by demonic shadows, Sigi confessed he didn't think he was gonna make it, but the MC calmed him down, promising they'd go visit the families together. In the flashback, Sigi asks him to tell his dad everything just in case he died, begging for forgiveness in his name, which was the last time he saw his friend alive. Wrapping up the story with the brutal truth, his friend died to save him. Hearing that, Akbi-wan slams the table, completely shaken, but soon says dying to save a friend is a worthy end for his son, remembering Sigi's farewell when the kid promised to come right back. With a distant look, he thinks that was the last time he saw his boy's face. Turning to the MC, he confirms if his name is really Dan Yang-woo, answering yes, short and straight to the point. At that, the leader grabs him and says, "From today on, you call me Dad," leaving Ak-ung touched by his brother's gesture, shocking Young Pyo and Yuman-hye, who doubt the kid will accept it. Meanwhile, the young lady shoots Ak-ung a disapproving look for the fight earlier. Surprising everyone, the main guy simply accepts the request, looking deep into the leader's eyes, calling him Dad. Moved, Akbi-wan whispers the name of his departed son, standing firm as if he felt his friend right beside him at that moment. Suddenly, the old man lets out a laugh, noticing the resemblance to his son. Standing up, he decrees the end of sorrow, bring food and the best wine, quickly lightening the mood as the banquet gets served. During the drinking, Ak-ung tells the history of the Ak mansion to Hyang Pyo, revealing that 10 years ago, the family was nothing in Sichuan, until a mysterious master taught Chianki's arts to the leader. Trying to drown the pain of loss was deadly training in the supreme technique, turning the Ak family into the major powerhouse they are today. But now, a new faction is swallowing up sects and messing with them, blaming the damn black serpent, scaring the veteran with the name, surprising Yuman-ya, who connects the dots with the road attacks. Just then, the patriarch, already a bit tipsy from the wine, calls for his new son. Jugging the jug, the MC tries to figure out what alcohol even is, realizing that right now there's no one around to save the girl. Standing up right away and telling his new dad he's gonna step out for a bit. Totally clueless, the patriarch asks where he's going. Ignoring the question, the kid just stomps hard on the ground, vanishing in the blink of an eye, leaving Hyun Pyo completely mind blown. Meanwhile, the black serpent jumps across rooftops hunting for Seo Yan, running desperately in the pouring rain to try and get away, realizing with her heart pounding that her enemies caught up to her. Getting surrounded, the leader mocks her, saying the boss ain't all that. Flashing a winning smile, he tells the girl to just give up without a fight. Suddenly, Seo Zesian's eyes go wide. When a goon tries to grab her, he goes flying from an invisible force. Looking at his hand freaked out, the guy yells asking what kind of chi she has, leading the girl herself confused, totally clueless about that energy. Until it clicks, it was the chi the MC passed to her earlier. Furious, the leader calls her arrogant and charges in with his sword. Just then, a goon asks not to kill her, and the leader says he'll just rough her up. Unarmed and out of the MC's chi, the girl knows she can't win on her own, deciding that, rather than being humiliated, she prefers a drastic way out. Spotting the opening, the enemy attacks with zero mercy. Losing hope, Seolyeon begs her family's forgiveness for failing her revenge. With the blade about to hit, she apologizes for being so weak. But out of nowhere, the MC appears blocking the strike, saying he made it in time. In the dark clearing, Seolyeon is surrounded by the Black Serpent's goons. Ignoring the warnings, the leader steps up with evil intentions to rip her clothes off. With no sword and none of the MC's chi, the boss knows she doesn't stand a chance. Determined, she decides she'd rather take a drastic end over being humiliated. Smiling, the enemy charges full speed, yelling he's gonna get to work. At that, the blade's glare cuts through the dark, ready for the final blow. Thinking about throwing herself on the sword to die with honor and reunite with her family. But in the blur, the MC pops out of nowhere and notes with relief he made it in time, catching the blade barehanded, sighing that he wasn't too late. Going into pure shock, the attacker yells, wanting to know where he came from. With a single squeeze, the main guy shatters the sword into 1,000 pieces, leaving the leader paralyzed and screaming in absolute terror. Getting hit by the shockwave, a goon howls in pain, while the others get blinded by the smoke, clueless about what's going down. Right in the middle of the mess he made, the kid doesn't even budge. Dazed, the girl whispers his name and asks what that was all about, admitting she was reckless but thought it was the end in her desperation. Staring at the girl, he asks if she was really gonna off herself, clicking his tongue and grumbling that it would be a total waste, stepping right in front of her as a shield against the remaining enemies. Growling in rage, the Blue Moon leader complains his perfect plan got ruined. At that, the kid turns to Seo Yan. With a straight face, he says he gets the situation, but gives her a quick warning to never do that again, and she just nods. Pissed off, a goon yells, asking if he's lost his mind messing with the Black Serpent. Right then, Soyeon sees the MC genuinely mad for the very first time, glaring at the guys with an insane aura pouring out of his body, giving off such a crazy pressure that the dudes actually get pushed back. Suddenly, the ground starts shaking like crazy. Terrified, a thug looks at the ground, having no clue what kind of madness this is. Sprouting from the earth, dirt spikes run right through a goon on the spot, lifting the guy into the air, spurting blood with his eyes rolled back. The ground keeps twisting up in in a super freaky way. Panicking, the leader sees the living earth coming right at them, turning the ground into a torture zone with mud and stone spikes. Simply unable to process what the heck he's looking at. Rising from the dirt, a massive creepy figure looks like a mud dragon, attacking and biting a goon clean in half with just one chomp. Horrified, Seal Yan watches it all without even being able to form a sentence. With an icy stare, the main guy drops the move's name, Earth Dragon, explaining that this is the second form of the 3 powers sword technique, telling the girl they should head out quickly so he can finish his dinner. Back at the mansion, the feast is in full swing and the vibe in the city chills out, making the mood super heavy when the title Demon God gets brought up. But right in the middle of the party, there's one guy who just can't relax at all. That being Yeonbaek, the guy who handles the money and the Ak family's affairs. Getting pretty suspicious about the MC vanishing out of nowhere mid-dinner, thinking it's crazy to drop their guard with the black serpent on their tail. Noticing the tension, the patriarch tells him to chill since the kid is like a son. But the servant won't back down, knowing the black serpent plays dirty to get what they want. Guessing that spies are testing the leader, putting everyone else on high alert. Yeonbaek figures it out, realizing this is the perfect time for an ambush. And his gut is right, with a whole squad of assassins already surrounding the mansion. They're the elite from the Black Snake Hall, the White Moon and Black Moon units. Right then, the enemy captain orders the total wipeout of the Ak family tonight. But a heavy voice kills the mood, warning them that nobody is going anywhere. Annoyed, the enemy boss yells, demanding to know who the wise guy is. Then, a huge blue flash crashes down from the sky with insane power. Looking up in total shock, one of the goons screams that it is a lightning bolt, slamming right into the ground and making the bad guys scream in pure agony, yelling for their boss, who ends up getting completely fried by the blast. Soon enough, the smoke clears out, revealing 2 shadowy figures, stepping up right next to Seo Yeon with sparks popping all around the MC. Giving a deadly glare, he warns that nobody is gonna ruin his dad's dinner. Trying to push forward, the assassins freeze up at the kid's crazy aura. Totally confused, the girl asks when the heck he suddenly got a dad. Meanwhile, the lightning keeps flashing, lighting up the dark woods. Hiding up in the trees, one of Yeonbaek's scouts is watching it all, laying low and catching every single second of the crazy scene. Thinking the kid does not even look human, but like a literal demon, eyes glowing with pure rage, the guy unleashes all his power at once. Totally terrified, the spy books it to report back as fast as he can, busting into the dinner room screaming, warning them about the black snake attack. Jumping out of his seat, Yeonbaek already knew they were coming to end it, leaving Hyeonpyo and Munhao totally lost in the mess, completely clueless. Exploding with rage, Akbihata's Swan smashes the table with a single punch, yelling for his sword already pumped up and ready for a bloodbath, burning the alcohol right out of his blood with chi, leaving Hyeonpyo amazed. But before they can leave, the scout yells that the enemies were wiped off the map. Not buying it, the boss asks again, and a guy swears they were all wiped out. Shaking like a leaf, he explains that a demon burnt everyone alive out there. Losing his temper, the boss yells, asking if the guy has been drinking on the job. Sticking to his story, the scout points right at the MC walking into the room. Furious at the disrespect toward a guest, the old man lets out a deadly aura. But the scout panics, telling his boss to look at the monster standing right behind. Right then, the family boss freezes up, feeling a heavy presence right behind him. Giving a faint smile, the kid announces that he made it back to his dad. Far away, a dude with long hair looks at the wreckage, looking super pissed off. With a black dragon floating by his side, he questions Danwol about the dead guys, explaining the hunt for a girl, getting strict orders to bring her back right away. Before leaving, the henchman drops the bad news about the units they sent out, saying they were all killed, just like the pile of bodies laying on the ground. Absolutely furious, the big boss of the Black Snake grits his teeth, drawing his sword and stabbing the ground, letting out a nasty, rotten energy, slicing the black dragon clean in half with a single, swift strike, saying he already gave the order to clean up the mess left by the Indigo Moon unit, deciding to fall back to the main headquarters for the time being, promising to use the sky-splitting bombs to turn the Ak family into absolute dust. By morning, Ak by one drops the formalities and invites Hyeonpyo to stick around, but the MC and his crew say thanks, letting him know they need to hit the road. Walking away, our guy shoots a quick glance over at the female boss. Meanwhile, Umanhai is watching it all, unable to take her eyes off them since last night. Out of nowhere, Akung walks up, calling the girl the main guy's partner. Startled, the young boss turns around and asks what the heck he just said. Repeating his question, the uncle wants to know if she is his fiancée or not. Pointing right at Seal Yayan, he asks what makes her so darn special anyway. Turning her head, Umanhai looks her rival up and down, mentioning that, to him, the two of them just look like super close siblings. Smiling, the girl decides to just play dumb and pretend she forgot about last night. Right at that moment, Act B Wan calls the kid over, asking the MC to pay his respects to the family boss before hitting the road, adding that his brother never skips training and should already be out in the yard. And there is the patriarch training hardcore with his trusty sword, wondering if the kid's crazy story from last night is actually for real, remembering how the guy wiped out the black snakes using some insane martial arts. Then, So-Yeon swears the technique was taught by the legendary reader. Freezing up in shock, the boss asks if that guy is actually his master. Shaking his head, the MC explains he only learned the basics and grinded out the rest. Hearing that, Umanhai figures the guy isn't even a real master after all. Spilling the truth, the kid says the man is nothing more than a sworn enemy, leaving everyone totally stunned that the reader of the heaven's secrets is actually a bad guy, feeling a heavy heart for using the power of the guy who murdered his own son. Then Ok-eun suggests that those techniques were just a way to pay him back, boiling with pure rage, thinking that this power cost him his boy's life, but hitting reality, knowing he can't just toss the skills out with so many enemies around. Smashing a training dummy with a strike full of pure, unfiltered hate. Totally crushed, the old man wonders what the heck he should do with his life now. Just then, the MC and his crew step out into the courtyard. Spotting them, the boss asks what they're doing up so early in the morning. Getting straight to the point, the guy tells him they are heading out, asking if it's because of the young lady. The patriarch gets a nod of confirmation, remembering that the MC is literally the only thing left of his boy. Accepting him like a son, he warns that raw power doesn't fix everything in the martial world, telling the kid to stay safe, getting a simple "yes dad" right back at him. And just like that, he cuts his ties with the Ak family for good. Heading back to the inn, So-Yeon is welcomed by her men with a huge sigh of relief. Apologizing to them, she orders everyone to pack up and get ready to head back to Hanam, pumping up the workers and filling them with a whole lot of hope. Right after, Hyunpyo offers to lend a hand, getting a warm thank you from the boss. Suddenly, fast and heavy footsteps completely interrupt their chat. Totally panicking, a guard warns them about more than 100 enemies surrounding the place. Outside, the street is absolutely packed with warriors from the Blue Moon unit, everyone getting into position, totally ready to strike at any second. Freezing up with fear, Seolyeon wonders if they are the actual targets here. Way too chill, the MC asks if they're from the Black Snake, and the guy confirms it. Keeping a straight face, he simply replies that it is a good thing, gearing up, knowing that the faction is already hunting down the Ak family anyway. Staring down at the massive crowd right from the balcony of the inn, staring down the entire enemy army without even blinking once. Flashing a little smirk, he just thinks to himself that everything is absolutely perfect. Complaining about taking so long to act, one of the goons grumbles. Then, Damwon gives the order, drag the girl out even if they have to kill everyone. Pointing up at the balcony, a goon mocks that the MC is gonna jump out of pure fear. Right on cue, the kid jumps straight down from up there. Freezing on the spot, the Joker cannot even believe he actually jumped for real, landing super heavy right in the middle of the crowd, kicking up a ton of dust. Totally shocked by the crazy audacity, Danwol goes wide-eyed. Hitting the ground, a huge electric shockwave explodes and fries everyone around him. Right then, blue lightning bolts streak the air, zapping the enemies one by one, causing massive panic while the guys get completely roasted by the blast. Screaming in terror, not getting how a lightning bolt drops from a clear blue sky. Right in the middle of the electric chaos, the kid gears up for the final blow. With a furious glare, he unleashes the third form, Heaven's Punishment, wiping everyone out in a single hit, bringing pure silence back to the street. Soon enough, a guard says they need to clean up the mess before heading back to Hanam, apologizing for the huge mess. But Hyung Kleo says they are already pros at this stuff. Even so, the boss worries about the crazy danger of fighting a whole sect all alone, starting to clear up the bodies and patch up the wounded right there on the street. Meanwhile, the Black Snake decides to bring out the 3 sky-splitting bombs, crafted by the Thunder Sect, packing an absolutely insane destructive power. Holding a bomb, the boss swears to wipe the Ak and Tang families right off the map. Running in to say Danwol is back, a henchman hears the boss ask about the girl. Stuttering like crazy, the goon nervously confirms that he made it back. Annoyed, the big boss asks what the heck he even means by that. Shaking with fear, the lackey tries his best to explain the whole situation, saying that some guy grabbed Danwol and dragged him all the way back here. At the front gate of the sect, the MC shows up, dragging Danwol by the hair. Staring at the kid with pure hatred in his eyes, the leader gets completely furious. With an icy cold voice, the kid asks if this place is the Black Snake's main hideout. Totally terrified, Danwol says yes and begs for mercy. Ignoring the crying, the kid locks his his eyes on the huge fortress right in front of him. Dropping the goon on the floor, he gets ready for whatever comes next, yelling in pure fury after seeing his right-hand man beaten right at his front door. Right then, the MC casually mentions that the sect's entrance is pretty weird. Out of breath, Danwell explains it is a maze and offers to guide him, but gets a hard no. With one swift move, the main guy lands a brutal punch right on the dude's chin, making the guy scream in pain as the heavy impact cracks loud. Right after, the kid spins around and unleashes a full power kick, launching Danwell's body flying through the air just like a literal cannonball, smashing right through the first fortress wall like it was made of tissue paper, with the wood exploding into 1,000 little pieces from the crazy impact. Meanwhile, the body just keeps busting through wall after wall without slowing down, leaving a straight line of pure destruction tearing right through the whole building, finally stopping, leaving a massive gaping hole right in the wrecked structure. Collapsing on the floor, the guy gets knocked out cold instantly, casually strolling right through the giant hole he just opened up, walking ahead and smashing absolutely everything standing in his way, until he steps straight into the inner courtyard of the enemy sect. Still in shock, the guards draw their swords to try the downright impossible. Looking in disbelief, the boss sees that the walls and traps did not do squat, demolishing the whole place effortlessly, like a fragile house of cards, completely ignoring the heavy rubble and the thick smoke filling up the air. Locking his eyes on a single target, the big boss of the Black Snake, trying desperately to slow down the kid's crazy advance. But the purple energy from his sword totally bulldozes everyone with full force, leaving the boss to be swallowed alive by that massive blast of raw power. Panicking at the insane chi, thinking the kid is actually some rejuvenated master, and the crazy purple aura just consumes the guy entirely, leaving nothing but pure ruins behind once the dust finally settles. Walking through the rubble, the MC simply asks if he is the boss of the sect. Completely desperate, the man pulls out the sky-splitting bomb, glowing brightly in a super sinister, creepy orange tone, screaming the weapon's name and chucking it at him with everything he has, flying straight at our hero, who just stands there watching it coming, flashing a quick look of surprise for just a split second, detonating right after, setting off a massive giant fireball inside the fortress, admiring the insane damage from far away, nearly blowing himself up too, laughing like an absolute maniac, swearing no martial god would ever survive that. But a voice cuts through the blazing fire, asking if he is done with his last words. Right then, the tip of a sharp blade slices right through the flames, walking out of the fire without a single scratch and summoning the Earth Dragon again, with his sword glowing insanely bright, making gigantic stone claws sprout right up from the solid ground, raising the massive earth creature up and boxing the boss in from every side, lunging forward to devour absolutely everything with its giant rocky jaws, letting out just one final scream of terror right before the heavy impact, chomping down with everything it has, causing total and absolute destruction, wiping the entire Black Snake sect right off the map once and for all. And all of this crazy mess was done by just one guy, Dan Hyung-woo, making the lucky survivors run away terrified, screaming about some crazy demon, running for their lives and spreading wild rumors about the ash monster, turning the crazy sight of the dragon eating the boss into a lifelong nightmare, watching all the chaos unfold with that ice-cold, distant look on his face, walking away with a pretty sweet prize for his victory, scoring the leftover sky-splitting bombs. Drop a like and